Anthony Grassi here for College.town at the 2025 NACDA Convention. Happy to sit down with UMAC Commissioner Borchardt. Corey, thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely.
So Corey, as we sit here right now, you are just about a year after the rebrand of the UMAC. What has been the reception from the UMAC so far?
It's been really positive, both internally and externally. A lot of positive feedback, and we're excited now to keep building on it. It was a great year one, and I think for our conference, timing-wise, was great to utilize, and look forward to building on that now. Year two, year three, even more to come.
How is that maybe a jumping off point for you to put forth some of the initiatives you want to have lead the conference forward?
Sure. I think for us it aligned or paralleled with, we launched a UMAC Sports Network this past year, which I think was one of the best things that we've done. My time with the conference, we have seen that platform just be used even more than we anticipated, and again, expect to capitalize even further on that. So I think those two launching at a similar parallel kind of track really helped leverage even more what we were trying to accomplish.
We've seen so much more small college athletics leaning into the production side, the media rights, all that kind of stuff. What is I guess the longer term vision for the UMAC Sports Network?
Sure. Well, we right now philosophically we're more in the camp of trying to avoid having to have our spectators pay, or our viewers pay, I should say. Obviously, there's a lot of different models and positives and challenges of different models out there, but we're in the camp trying to keep it accessible for as many viewers as we can. So we feel there's some opportunities that we can still add sponsorships, do things revenue-wise to still capitalize, yet ultimately try to make it, in terms of the product, as much viewable as possible as we can in terms of quantity and numbers. So we're looking forward to keeping that model, at least for the near future, and trying to just keep raising kind of our standards, our requirements in terms of the sports network and what our institutions need to do. Keep raising the bar there so that the product keeps going up as well.
When you maybe compare to your peers, how are you thinking about the benchmark for that quality of service? And I imagine the conversation amongst your presidents is they are the ones that are on board with leading that, keeping it free model. But I'm curious what the conversation is through that process, maybe even up to when you guys launched it a year ago.
Sure. Yeah, I think we knew going in that if we're going to do this, we wanted to do it well, and we knew that it would immediately, it quickly is a representation of you. It helps in terms of your identity, how you're viewed, the image. And so we knew the importance of it, the significance of it, but I don't know if we knew how much, just how significant it would help. And so I think in some ways we're doubling down now in terms of, because we recognize how critical it is just to our image, our identity, how we're viewed as a conference, that we want to keep raising that bar. So we working with obviously primarily our athletic communications directors and groups, but the whole spectrum from number of cameras, camera quality, to graphics, to the talent on air, and all the different pieces that go into trying to put out a really high-end product. We want to keep, incrementally trying to keep increasing the quality of that product. So we started with a 3-year plan. We're going into year 2, and we expect to keep adding different pieces that hopefully will help the product being viewed in terms of a positive image reflection of our conference more and more.
Yeah, we can't say enough positive things about all the college sports communicators out there that do the fantastic work that
Absolutely
helps our student athletes get out there and be in the light and in front of the eyes. I'm curious from maybe the membership side of the conference. Obviously, we had a challenging year last year with Northland's closure. How are you thinking through the membership now for the UMAC and into the future?
Sure. Yeah, obviously, membership changes can be challenging, but they also can provide opportunities. And so that's how our membership is really looking at it. An opportunity now. We hope to still continue to add new members and expand ultimately. It doesn't happen overnight, recognize that, but we philosophically absolutely want to keep expanding. And so we're hoping to capitalize on opportunities down the road and expect to do so. But I do think anytime you go through membership transition, it's a good process in terms of you reflect, you kind of do some analysis, and then try to move forward. And so that's where we're at now, really moving forward trying to grow our membership and plan to do so.
Is there an ideal number for the UMAC? Not to put too much pressure on you,
yeah.
but
Well, from a conference commissioner scheduling standpoint, an even number is always ideal.
Of course.
So I'll start with that. But we've talked about ultimately, probably 10 is an ideal number just in terms of even, and also just scheduling. I think gives you some options, whether you looked at divisional model for some sports or just. I think gives you more creativity to look at different options when you have at least 10. So we're not locked into a number. Our president's chancellors, aren't specifically set on an end number, but certainly would like to see us grow, and hopefully we can at least get to 10.
Amongst all the challenges that face small college athletics, there's been the conversation of what is the right size?
Yeah.
Obviously, in the NCAA, there is a AQ situation for most sports, and how basically I imagine most feel that the more schools you have, the less likelihood that you have to potentially win that AQ. Whereas your peers in the NAI have a little bit different model where if the conference is so big, they can get more AQs.
Yeah.
Do you think, as the size component to kind of shelter against the potential for closure, merger, moving to a different division or association, does that influence how you think about what long-term the right number should be for the conference?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and I think if you ask 10 people what that number should be or where that sweet spot is,
you might get 15 different answers.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there is, a tipping point where I would expect members, if you're in a really large conference, maybe start to get a little frustrated or question championship access. At the same time, I think there's a lot of positives with the larger conference and just different things you can capitalize from a strength standpoint if you do have a larger number. So I think there's other elements that probably go into that conversation when you start talking conference size and geography, footprint, travel. That my sense is probably our similar priority, if not even more, for some, especially just resource-wise where we're at in terms of small college, and certainly a spectrum of resources. So I think there's an alignment there more in terms of conference size than necessarily even, championship access. But we talk about that. I think that's right now one of the attractive elements for our conference is championship access is certainly realistic, and for the foreseeable future probably will be. But I know larger conferences, they also get to reap some benefits of conference size being larger as well. So we hope that 7 to 10, I think, is that sweet spot from our view, I guess, in terms of still very consistent championship access, yet a large enough conference where you can do some things scheduling-wise.
Excellent. Corey, when you think into the next year, 2025, for 2025-26, outside of the growth of the sports network, the continued messaging around the rebrand, what are some of the initiatives that you and your team are focused on?
Sure. I think, first and foremost, always start with what can we do to enhance the student-athlete experience. So we're constantly, each year, evaluating how do we make our championships, in particular from a conference perspective, how do we make those conference tournaments and championships even more of an elevated experience, keep growing on that. So that's where we start a lot of times with new ideas for the following year or a couple years out sometimes, trying to keep adding new touches and enhancements for our championships. I think after that, even though we launched both last year, the rebrand and the sports network, there's still some specific things we want to do within those over the next year as well. So come back to those. And then we're really trying to focus on how can we provide local professional development for our member schools, from administrators to coaches, all the different constituent groups, within a conference, athletic trainers, athletic communications folks. Sure. We recognize whether it's time, resources, it gets, more and more challenging in terms of to always go, fly somewhere, professional development, away from campus gets harder and harder. So we're really doing more and more each year as far as just providing local within our conference, where we bring in the speakers or we bring in the opportunity just to grow, develop. And I think one of the bigger gains that I see from that for our conference is it also just builds synergy within our different groups. So within a coaching group, within a group of trainers, a group of athletic directors, when when it's not always, the meetings aren't always about a vote or a decision. I think you tend to grow that synergy more and just as a group get closer and more cohesive. And so we feel there's a lot of value in prioritizing those types of professional development opportunities as well that we can gain as a conference.
Absolutely. A lot to look forward to for the UMAC. Corey, thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely.